This short clip is from my live trading room. You can engage directly with my fabulous team and me at LaDucTrading.com for all our research and trades. Or for just my daily live streams, you can access via YouTube memberships. All links are in the description. I have this open on a biotech name. I'm not familiar with it all, but it's because Alexandra just sent it over, and it's related to a GLP-1 weight loss obesity drug that is pill form. So early, I guess, trials have been very favorable. Anyway, I'm sure he'll post that in his channel if he hasn't already. I was just taking a look at some of the levels, and given that it had an IPO back in 2016 timeframe, if not late 2015, late 2015, this is basically needing to get and stay above $14. It's hitting that pre-market on a pretty successful trial, long story short. But some other things that are also doing rather well of late. ASTS, we know about this for existing clients. Anyone new, maybe you're not familiar, but you can go onto the Trend channel in Slack. I've written a lot about it. I also cover it on a regular basis. When it came down into this 34 area, I said very likely that the space mob will come and defend. And the same thing in the 54 area. They also happen to be monthly, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of fib overlays on here, but it advanced 100% back in June. It was recommended in February of 2025, and it was basically a sock drawer play, which is my affectionate way of saying put it in a drawer. It's a long-term hold. It can 10x. So it was about $25. So I have high hopes for it over the long term. And then it got very busy very, very quickly in this speculative phase that we have in the market. Anyway, long story short, it did a 100% advance here. It got defended at 34. It did a massive parabolic run, which I said was into the hot, hot sun, happened to hit this 1618 fib retracement. I'm talking about AST Mobile, ASTS. And then this was literally mid-October when I said, remember, this is also still part of the $0 club, which is very low revenues, lots of future expected growth within the space and satellite arena, but it's pulling forward massive amounts of that growth because of a lot of good news. It's also a Starlink competitor. This was a cheeky little February play where I said if you want an anti-Musk play, you can't short Starlink. It's part of SpaceX. It's privately held, but you can short T-Mobile, with whom Starlink is partnered. And that was actually back here in this February timeframe. So that has continued to roll over. I'm talking TMUS. And ASTS has continued to roll up, but the $0 club speculation plays absolutely got hit, and they pulled back as they should. And it was a 50% retracement. And then I said for both RKLB, I had $40 is where they should get defended, and ASTS around this $54 area, which is where it got defended. So anyway, I did a little write-up because this weekend I was poking around, and this is one that I didn't know. It probably got defended for more reasons than just a monthly support level and a 50% pullback. But Paul Tudor Jones, took a 3.65% ownership. He's now the fourth largest institutional position in AST Mobile. Google is right behind, fifth position. So literally Tudor Investment Corp jumped above Google, and they just announced at the end of October. So this is all, and Tudor just announced, I just saw it this weekend. So these are very, very new investments, long story short, okay? And this is literally back in November 19th, because I know some of you are actively trading around this summer, using options because they're very, very juiced now. Some just are going along with this expansion in space and critical grid and all that other techie, geeky stuff. But regardless, it just it has still a very, very viable look for higher over a longer period of time. Just a lot of the growth was brought forward. So I wanted to just take a little look at it. And sure enough, Rocket Lab is another one that many own, that is obviously part and parcel for ASTS space satellite sector. And they're both in UFO, which is the sector ETF. And that's why I also talk about that sector ETF a lot, because they're heavily weighted inside. Anyway, SpaceX also
announced over the weekend, which is what garnered my attention as well, is that they're going to announce an IPO next year. You know, Tusk has a little battle there with the OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman, and it's basically just a little bit of a pissing contest. But anyway, you cannot have a bigger IPO than me kind of thing. So Musk comes out and says, we're going to do an IPO for SpaceX. 65% of SpaceX is Starlink, according to Wall Street Journal. So that's a big valuation, but it also is very supportive for hire for AST Mobile, its main competitor. So anyway, I'm not going to read too much into lofty valuations. That's not my gig, but I'm just saying that's part and parcel of the reason why it got defended. Like why 54 actually ended up being a really good support bounce level. Hitting 74 soon after. It was because news like this with SpaceX doing an IPO of huge valuation and Google and Twitter both taking stakes in this stock. So congratulations for those anyway. Big picture, I did a little bit of a view here going, you still have some risks. It's still a small, relatively speaking, a small company that has a lot of work that it has to do to execute. And it's doing great on customers. They're killing it here. So they're doing awesome. Saudi Arabia also, Saudi Telecom also announced a 10-year strategic partnership agreement. So I'm updating some of these for reasons to keep holding and keep being positive, but it's also a dilution machine and it's rising with its price to fund these operations. So keep that in mind as well. There's always a bear case. So they are not profitable. Just keep that very, very much in mind. So lots of investment, lots of future hope and growth being pulled forward, but they're definitely on the other side, not investment, because they are funding all of this through dilution. Anyway, long story short, the calls that I had suggested, structures that I had suggested in option land back in February of 2025, if you remember, the highest strike for either the January 26 or the January 27 leaps was $55 calls. Remember that? Now they are $150 calls. So this thing has gotten found is all I wanted to say about that. Anyway, so that's a little update on ASTS. I also want to remind that for the Google long folks, both the trend is fine. It's a huge moat and all that. But we do have a little war going on. The winner take all, Musk versus Sam. Well, we also have Google versus Sam. So basically, ChatGPT has a new version coming out, and it is in response to the Gemini 3.0 by Google that stole a lot of their light. And you can't, Sam can't have that. Narcissists must have the light. So anyway, they're coming out with a new one. Watch for Google to potentially get hit on some of that news. And then remember Oracle, speaking of the big ones, Oracle has earnings on this day, Fed Day. Anyway, the point is, this is a great bounce candidate. This has already been written up. It came all the way down. A perfect, by the way, gorgeous short. It well went through my level. So you know that because I really, it was not if, but when it hit the 243.49 from 369, and then gorgeous continuation to the 200 week, which is that green. And then it had consolidated here for a little bit, big bearish engulfing, dump below, held right here at this 198, but it's really a monthly critical reversal of evening star. And now this is already through the 214.65 and we're pushing above the 21 day. This is Oracle and it's up another 2.6% and it's pushing its way into this level, which I gave you, which is 234.62. So Oracle is continuing to be a bounce play. Just keep in mind that earnings are Wednesday and they're probably going to recover some. Like I would not be surprised at all if this has a bounce or a move back into this kind of 248, 249 area. Maybe even overshoots to 260 and comes back in. So keep Oracle in mind. Anyway, I think that was the most interesting news was this WVE, if in fact it follows through. It's up 85% right now. This is something that Alexander posted. It is all about phase 1 trial data for obesity. It's a pill. A lot of people don't like to shoot themselves or they don't want to go to a doctor. This is like, I don't know, once or twice a year. Anyway, sign me up. It's like how many people are going to say that's easy? So the easy pill. The point is we have a lot of work to do on this one and I don't have any science knowledge whatsoever. So this is all Alexander, but I'm just letting you know what's going on with this particular one and why it's interesting. It is trying to get above that key level on a weekly 400 week. and it has been obviously left for dead for a really, really long time. It's an IPO from late 2015 that went nowhere fast, and now it's going somewhere fast. So if then, check in with him, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. One of the reasons why it matters is because Eli Lilly is its absolute competitor, and this is a pretty little company that probably gets bought for a huge, insane amount of money. If it actually is viable, here data that they're presenting, it's positive, but it's interim. It's phase 1. They got some roads to travel. But look what's happened to Eli Lilly. Not just rotation out of healthcare, XLV, but also out of Eli Lilly. So that's more interesting to me. Oh, TE. Okay, TE Energy is a name that Luke had actually recommended, and I'm going to do a reminder on this one. So TE was from November 5th. It was 336. So it was November in this neck of the woods. And I said, this looks really good. This is a Trina solar ancillary play from China. And if remember the DQ, it looked also good, but it hasn't done anything. But it still looks good. Anyway, this is doing great, and I did not know, and I just found out a fun fact. While I was doing my research this week on ASTS to post that for you, all that stuff about Tudor Jones and Google investment and new Saudi 10-year deal and SpaceX valuation and all that good stuff, came across a fun fact that TE, this electronic component, is actually used by AST Mobile to use, it's a commercial grade silicon, and it is the base of their solar modules. So it's pretty important. It's kind of like goes along for the ride, so to speak. So it's a little different than what other solar and satellite companies use. It is extremely higher efficiency and it can handle the harsh environment of space. Anyway, they are doing their silicon-based solar modules in this material that is 20 to 23% more efficient. It drives down costs, and apparently they've got a stable supply. And I didn't know this about the T1 Energy company. Really, I was just following what Luke said. And I was like, okay, cool. But no, it's actually very specific that is in the manufacturing process of ASTS. So there you go. And they're trying to become vertically integrated in the US. Anyway, it looks very good into about 10. So whatever caused it to fall off, probably leading into the election, is now pushing higher. So TE is a thin right now, under the radar, low priced stock, but highly movable. In other words, it can be whipped around pretty easily. So be careful with that. It's not low risk, but it is something I thought was fascinating because it is directly involved in the solar production for ASTS. And it's abundant, so supply isn't such a big deal. So Netflix acquiring, this is still heading lower. WBD, Warner Brothers, is under scrutiny. Trump doesn't like the idea. So that's what hit over the weekend. I knew there was another one. Okay, but I already went over this one at length last week. So I still, as I said, still see 90-80 on this short. It's still in play. So 98, let's call it 91. And Spotify, for whatever reason that travels with it, I still see 506. So I've already shared that will be my target for both of these. And then I expect sharp bounces, like one of these kind of total reversal bounces. Once we hit there, yeah, I don't think it'll be a weak bounce. I think it'll be a sharp one. But we ain't there yet.
Join Club today to engage with Samantha and her team of 10 experts. Scan this QR code or click the link in the description. Subscribe to LaDuc Trading YouTube channel for more live trading room recap videos and other content.